But our big story today, India captain Virat Kohli dropped a bombshell today, announcing his decision to step down as India cricket captain. Virat has taken this decision after being 7 years India captain. He said this on social media and claimed that the time had come to everything comes to a halt sometimes. Test captaincy for me halts now. Virat's decision of quitting as India captain, of course, comes only a day after India lost a test series to South Africa and a month after he was removed as the ODI captain. Lots of attention on Virat Kohli at the moment. What explains this decision? Nikhil Naz, who tracks sports for us, is with us, and also the legendary Sunil Gavaskar joins us at the moment from South Africa. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Gavaskar. To you first. Are you surprised by this decision, or do you think that after the kind of defeat that we've had in South Africa, there was a sense that maybe Virat had decided to call time?
No, I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised. In fact, as I said to Nikhil earlier, I thought that it might come at the presentation ceremony. When the captains are interviewed at the presentation ceremony after the match, it might come then. But maybe it would have looked as if it had come out of a sense of anger or a sense of pique at having lost the series. So I think a little bit of a gap and the decision has come. So I'm not surprised at this.
Why? If I may ask why? Well, here is a very successful captain who only a few months ago was on the verge of winning a test series in England. Won a series against New Zealand at home. What is it that makes you feel that this is not surprising?
Because as a captain, I've experienced that series losses overseas are not taken too kindly by the cricket-loving public as well as by the board officials. So the captain is in danger of being sacked, and that has happened in the past, and I'm pretty certain that it would have happened this time around, because this was a series that India was expected to win and expected to win easily. And if you don't win, what happens? Generally, whether he's been individually successful or not, in a team sport, the captain is the one where the buck stops.
You're making a huge point. You seem to be suggesting, Mr. Gavaskar, that Virat Kohli in a way preempted what was possible, that the board would have sacked him because of this defeat against South Africa.
There's every possibility of that. Looking at what had transpired earlier on, looking at the fact that he had been removed as the one-day captain. Yes, I think having lost this series, that was always a possibility.
Is that also because, Mr. Gavaskar, Virat Kohli didn't perform as a batsman? Is that also because of what happened in Cape Town on the second last day when there was this huge controversy, Virat speaking into a stump mic, attacking the host broadcasters? Do you believe all of that had a role to play, or is it purely defeat?
I think it is. I think it's a defeat because, look, every Indian who follows the game of cricket, looking at the current South African team with the inexperienced batting lineup that they had, even with the bowling, there was not much experience there. Their fastest bowler, Nokia, wasn't playing, which was a very, very big blessing as far as the Indian batting was concerned, because these pitches were not good, not easy to bat on. And therefore, both, as you saw with both teams, not too many hundreds were scored, only 200s were scored. So everybody in India who follows the game of cricket expected India to win and win comfortably. And so naturally, when it didn't go the way that everybody was expecting, there is a sense of disappointment. And like I said, at the end of the day, the buck stops with the captain. So while you would have obviously had people being dropped for the next series, whenever the series is, I think it's in February against Sri Lanka, there'd be a few players maybe not in the squad, but there could have been also a change in the captaincy for that series, because somewhere down the line you've got to start a transition. And I think that the selection committee would have said, let's start it from the home series, because the home series is a lot easier to win than an overseas series.
Oh, great shot.
Very interesting observations there, Mr. Gavaskar. Mr. Arun Dhumal, the BCCI's treasurer, joins us. Mr. Dhumal, was the BCCI taken by surprise by what Virat Kohli has done, or has there been any communication, any dialogue, Mr. Dhumal, with Virat Kohli before he took this decision?
Now, this is again.
No, I'm told Virat spoke to the secretary and he told him about his decision. And that is how it went along.
Now, are you fully supportive of Virat? Would you like him to change his mind at all?
So he's given his decision and we respect his decision. You know, when he told us about his decision to relinquish T20 captaincy, that time also we told him maybe since we were going for the World Cup that he can think about it. But then he had made up his mind. And likewise, I think he had made up his mind. We respect his decision. See, Virat has been a great contributor to Indian cricket. He has led from the front. He is beyond doubt the most successful Indian captain, be it home, be it overseas. If he's taken this decision, we all must respect his decision.
Just to understand, the BCCI, how will you respond to those who saying BCCI was putting pressure on Virat? First, eventually removed him as ODI captain, and there was pressure after this defeat in South Africa. If he had not stepped down, BCCI might have removed him as Test captain also.
No, Rajesh, you have to understand things in perspective. It was Virat's decision to relinquish T20 captaincy. And white ball, you can't have two captains. That is what was the view of the selection committee. So they were of the opinion in case he's wanting to go as T20 captain, it is better that we have one captain for both the formats. So accordingly, he was informed about it. Now with regard to, I think, the Test captaincy, it has nothing to do with the BCCI. It is purely his call and we have to respect his decision.
One final question, Mr. Dhumal. Mr. Gavaskar also mentioned that Indian cricket could be going through a transition phase, a new order. Does the BCCI also expect now a new order, a new era is beginning? And if so, do we have any idea under whose captaincy? A lot of speculation, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, who will be the new face? Are we going to see a new era post-Kohli Shastri era?
You see, Rohit and Virat are almost the same age. Yeah, like Sunny Bhai said, transition, you see, change is the only constant that we have. So this transition obviously is taking place. Every team goes about it. Every captain goes about it. Like Dhoni gave it to Virat, and now whoever selection committee feels is the best person to lead the team, he'll take over from here. And I'm sure under his mentorship and leadership, Indian team would continue doing the best.
Right. Mr. Dhumal, I appreciate your joining us, giving us the BCCI's perspective. BCCI saying they respect the decision taken by Virat Kohli. Thank you so much. Nikhil Nas, you heard Arun Dhumal. Are you in sync with that? Do you believe BCCI had no role to play in this decision? Because a lot of you have been, sports reporters have been saying that this was in the air, that Virat's term may be coming to an end.
Well, it's a way of looking at the glass half full and half empty, Rajdeep. He's right in when he says that the BCCI played no role in telling Virat to quit Test captaincy. That's, of course, happened on his own accord. He's come out and said that he doesn't want to continue as Test captain. The other thing that I gather from Mr. Dhumal is that they've accepted the decision, and so that's it. That's that. Then there's no looking back, and now the BCCI is going to be looking for a new captain. When we said that, and Mr. Gavaskar also, he preempted it. Of course, Mr. Gavaskar had a cricketing reason, saying that after this heartbreaking loss and in the manner in which the Indian team lost, there would have been discussions within the BCCI, and sometimes the BCCI doesn't take overseas losses very easily, and there would have been discussions. So Virat clearly preempted it. Only thing that I'd like to add is clearly Virat must have also preempted some sort of hostility coming from the BCCI, considering that there was this saga that played out in the open. It played out in front of the media, where Virat said one thing that was contradictory to what the BCCI president had said. Later, you had the chairman of selector come and corroborate whatever the BCCI president had said. So clearly, there were going to be repercussions there as well. Whether that would have added to him being removed as Test captain over and above the Test series loss, now that's conjecture. But of course, when to say that BCCI did play a role, I'm just saying the kind of saga that played out, and that's not to say that BCCI is responsible for that. Probably Virat is having spoken about that in public, and probably the buck then stops with him. But there are a lot of other pieces to the puzzle that then put together tells you why he may have decided to leave his Test captaincy.
I'll come to those pieces in a moment. Ayaz Memon, veteran cricket commentator, analyst, joins us at this moment. Journalist Ayaz, are you surprised by what Virat did, or do you believe there's a shelf life for any Indian captain, and Virat had reached the end of that shelf life?
Well, I must say that I was taken by surprise. I would be dishonest if I didn't say that. But having said that, on second thoughts, I now feel that whether losing the series or winning the series, Virat would have taken this call. I mean, if winning the series, he would have gone out on a bigger high. Losing the series obviously is disappointing. But I think in his mind space, he was, kind of feeling throttled. There have been too many things happening in his life, COVID and fatherhood, etc., etc. Then this growing criticism, being chased by trolls when he supported Mohammad Shami, losing the white ball captaincy in part, and then completely in very unsavory circumstances. All this has been, I think, playing on his mind. And I think more than anything else, he wanted peace of mind to rediscover his mojo as a batsman. The past 12 months haven't been kind to Virat. He's not lost too many matches. Remember, we beat England at home. We are leading against England 2-1 in an uncompleted series as yet. But the World T20 became a disappointing failure. This has been a setback, losing to South Africa, a weak South Africa team. And I think perhaps the biggest of all, not winning the WTC final against New Zealand, because that would have just given him so much more stature in the game. And that didn't happen. And that's compounded by his own lack of runs. It's not a poor form or lean trot as we conventionally understand it. He's been getting starts, he's been getting 50s, but those big runs have been evading him. So I think he's been in turmoil, and I think this is a decision he would have taken, much like Sunil Gavaskar and Sachin Tendulkar and Rahul Dravid have done before him, quitting the captaincy, focusing on their batting. I think he would have taken this call.
You make a point about the fact that Virat, the batsman, had suffered, particularly in the last 2 years. Mr. Gavaskar, who better than you to answer that? Do you believe that the pressure of captaincy was getting to Virat as the batsman? Because if you look at his captaincy from 2015 to 2019, he had a golden run as a batsman. He scored more runs as a batsman. His average was higher once he became captain. So is it that the fact that maybe after in the last 2 years, the pressures of captaincy were getting to Virat, the batsman?
To an extent, you could say yes. To an extent, you could argue that, because what he has been always talking about is intent, and so in trying to show by example the intent, he was looking to score of deliveries which he would have otherwise left alone. Whether it was in New Zealand in 2020 or in England last year, particularly overseas, he was getting out, looking to show the intent to score, and in that process he was not being his usual prolific self. And maybe there, because as a captain he had talked about intent, maybe that might have been one of the reasons why he was feeling that, look, I'm not getting the runs as a batsman, and the whole thing was sort of combining, and maybe that is the reason. But I also agree with Ayaz that if he had won this series, I believe he would have quit even if he had won the series. But then it would have been on a high. While now I think it's very disappointing, and it is more a question, I would imagine, of preempting something being done to him.
not everyone gets that opportunity, Mr. Gavaskar. You were able to retire as Indian captain on a high, winning that 1985 champion of World Championship ODI series in Australia. I guess you would have also retired as captain, win or lose, after that World ODI Championship then?
Oh, yes, because, I mean, look, when I quit as captain, I was 3 years older than, 2 or 3 years older than what Virat is today. And so there was obviously the question of, and already a year before that, year and a half before that, Kapil Dev had shown his leadership qualities by winning the ICC World Cup. So, there was a replacement, ready and waiting for an opportunity. So yes, I would have quit irrespective of whether we won that World Test Championship or we just maybe we didn't win it.
Right. I'm just going to ask all of you to judge Virat, the captain, in a moment. But how does Virat judge himself? Because we asked him this question, particularly about what is seen as the blank space on his CV, not having won a single ICC championship. How does Virat take that? Listen in.
Virat, World Cup. I mean, there was such a huge build-up and you were in such good space. India had played extraordinary cricket, one bad day, 30 minutes of bad, whatever. How do you deal with failure? Because, the whole country goes bonkers and you're trolled and you've said a lot of things and it hurts. We were all there. We were all feeling pain. I mean, no one can feel the pain more than you as captain of the Indian cricket team. How do you deal with failure?
It's not easy. I mean, if you ask me, do I get affected by failure? Yes, I do. Everyone does. I'm human at the end of the day. So it's difficult to process failure at such a big stage. But also you have to understand that, I totally believe in the fact that what's meant to be for you will happen. We were working as hard as we could. So was New Zealand. I mean, it's not like they were just having a stroll in the park and they won. They reached the finals because they were meant to, they were destined to, and so was England. Maybe England was even destined. You saw how the final went. You can never predict a match like that. Correct. So how can you say that that wasn't meant to happen? It was the back of the bat boundary, and Ben himself is feeling sorry about it. It was God sent. I mean, you can't sit down and have any logic or any explanation to that. So it is because we play a sport where we feel like we are involved every ball and you are responsible to make something happen. So even failure and success, you start looking like we failed because of me, or I made success happen. So I think somewhere or the other we need to understand that all we can do is work hard and put in our best effort. As long as your intent is right, your heart is in the right place, and you're going along the right path and you're doing things with the right intent, that's all you can do. Because no one, as you said, no one wants to go out there and fail or not succeed or have moments like this. No one wants to do that. No one wants to experience that. But for success and failure is a part of everything that we do in life, whether it's sport, whether it's in daily life, whether you lose someone close to you, whether it's a problem in your job, anything. It is the truth of life, and you need to be able to accept both with grace. That's the thing that I've learned. You can't go gung-ho when you succeed. You can't say, oh, I'm the king of the world, or we are invincible now. And when you fail, you can't beat yourself down so much that you can't get up again. So I think you need to feel the hurt. You need to feel, where could I have done things differently? I think failure is a great way or a great opportunity to analyze what went wrong and to improve on those mistakes, because at the end of the day, cricket is all about that. When you make a mistake while batting, you want to improve it the next time you walk out to play. Or if you play a false shot and you haven't gotten out, you want to improve it the next ball. And similarly for bowlers and fielders, you make a mistake, you feel really bad about it, but then you catch one and then you feel like, okay, I've corrected my mistake. And I think life is all about that. It's about making mistakes on a regular basis, but having the courage and the acceptance and the clarity to say, okay, I have made a mistake. I'm not going to be egoistic about it. I'm going to lay it down, understand what happened, improve on it, and walk forward. Because as you said, people say things, people attack you. If you start focusing on that, you cannot progress, because those are opinions. Those are, things that are happening on the outside. You know what opinion you hold, you know the intent you played with, and you need to be true to that. So the biggest challenge I felt was being true to your own beliefs.
Fascinating, Virat Kohli's definition of success and failure. Mr. Gavaskar, how do we judge Virat Kohli, the captain, as one of India's best ever?
Oh, without a question, definitely. I mean, look at his record. His record is, unbelievable. He's got the best record amongst all Indian captains. So clearly, yes, one of the best ever captains that India has had.
Ayaz Memon, how will you judge Virat Kohli, the captain, from the fact that he didn't win these ICC tournaments or the fact that he took Indian cricket forward, particularly Indian Test cricket?
You can get obsessed by him not having won an ICC tournament and therefore disregard what he's done otherwise. I mean, if you look at his record across formats, it's stellar. There's nobody better, not in Test matches, not in ODIs, not in T20s. And it's a record which will take some beating. So, I mean, let's not, people have been, I think, very easy to pass judgment on him because he's a bit of a, in-your-face character, and therefore it's easier to criticize. Somebody who's very modest and all that, you might say, oh, okay, you make allowances. But he hasn't been like that, and therefore sometimes his achievements are not given the value. But, whether tactically he's been the best ever, that's for somebody like Mr. Sunil Gavaskar to judge. But I think if you go by the records, he's got something that will take some beating, and you have to doff your cap to what he's achieved. He's just infused so much energy, so much ambition. He's been riveting in his, with his presence in the field for fans. He's uplifted the energy in the dressing room. I think all of these make him quite a distinctive captain, if not the best captain that India has had, going by the records.
Nikhil, you had a question for Mr. Gavaskar. Go ahead, please.
Saim, I just wanted to know, I don't know if anyone else who watches as much cricket as you do, on the evidence of what you've seen with Virat Kohli, the batsman, in the last 2 years, clearly hasn't lived up to the high standards that he has. How do you see the future of Virat Kohli, the Test batsman? Do you think that he still has many more years to contribute at that very high level? Or do you think that the road, the end of the road is there, not quite there, but quite near? How do you view Virat Kohli, the Test batsman, going forward for the next 3-4 years?
I think he's got at least half a dozen good years of Test batsmanship or international batsmanship left in him. You could see in this Test match itself that little adjustment that he had made with that front foot pointing a little bit straighter, with that back foot also not going quite outside the off stump, back and across. So look, he's thinking about how to get better at batting, and he will get better. So I believe that he's got at least half a dozen years of batting at the highest level. And without the cares of captaincy, who knows? We might yet see, a rainfall of centuries from his bat.
All right. One more question with your permission, Rajdeep, the last one on that. Just wanted to know, Saibai, in terms of now you'd have to look for a new Test captain. Who do you see as your new Test captain? I mean, I'm just talking like an Indian cricket fan. We saw KL Rahul captaining for that one-off Test match. Of course, there were a few questionable, sort of tactical decisions that he took. Of course, he'll be a work in progress. Rohit Sharma, the other experienced guy you can look at, has had some sort of fitness issues. Ajinkya Rahane, the other option you had, now doesn't guarantee himself a place in the playing 11. So are you seeing uncertain times, or even the young captain that you get may take a few years to really, get adjusted to that particular role? How do you see that leadership going forward from here on?
It's going to be quite a debate as far as the selection committee is concerned as to who should be the person who should be taking Indian cricket forward. First and foremost, you look at somebody who's going to be available and is amongst the first picks, an automatic selection in all three formats of the game. And once that happens, then I think the job becomes a lot easier. If you ask me, you haven't asked me, but I'm still saying I would look at Rishabh Pant as the next India captain. And for one reason only. Just like when Rohit Sharma was given the captaincy of Mumbai Indians, when Ponting stepped down and Rohit Sharma was made the captain, look at the change in his batting after that. Suddenly, the responsibility of being a captain meant that instead of playing those beautiful cameos of 30s, 40s, 60s, he was scoring hundreds, 150s, 200s. And I think that sense of responsibility given to Rishabh Pant will make him score many more of those wonderful hundreds that we saw, like the wonderful 100 we saw at the Newlands a couple of days back.
Mr. Gavaskar, you're making a huge point there. You're claiming that Rishabh Pant, at the age of 24, wicketkeeper batsman, is ready to be the next India captain already.
Yes, I'm saying that. Tiger Patodi was captain at the age of 21 under adverse circumstances when Mr. Nari contractor got badly injured. But look what he did. He took to it like a duck takes to water. And similarly, I think what we've seen with Rishabh Pant in his time as the captain of the Delhi Daredevils in the IPL, I do believe that he has the capability of taking Indian cricket forward and making it a very exciting team to watch.
Wow, so Mr. Gavaskar made a huge call there. This is huge. Mr. Gavaskar claiming that Rishabh Pant is the ideal person to succeed Virat Kohli. Anshuman Gaikwad, your old opening partner, is also joining me very quickly as we end the show. Mr. Gaikwad, you want to tell us, you agree with that? That maybe the time has come to completely change, have a generational change? Rishabh Pant, would he be your choice as the next captain, or would you have Rohit Sharma for a couple of years and then Rishabh?
Well, Rajdeep, anyway, we haven't talked earlier, so Happy New Year to all of you. But Sunny, what he's saying is, okay, he's in the thick of things, so probably he knows what thinking goes on and goes in. But let me tell you, I've been selector for 4 years with Vishwanath, and we always thought it could be a younger guy or a senior guy. Must have leadership qualities. Somebody who can keep things together, the team together, the players together, and it all depends, who can do it. Meaning, me sitting at home, I don't know whether I can give my opinion on that. But I think Rahul will be the right person where he, as a coach, has to, ultimately bear the brunt. I know, being a coach,
right?
What
happened, in fact, we haven't. In fact, you make an important point right through this conversation. We haven't focused perhaps enough. We'll maybe get more opportunities on Rahul Dravid. He's going to have to impose his presence on this team. The Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli era has come to an end today, effectively. First it was Shastri, then it was Virat Kohli. Now you've got a new era for Indian cricket. Maybe new beginnings. Maybe you go the Gavaskar route and make a complete break with the past with the Rishabh Pant. Or there will be those who will say that Rohit Sharma could maybe at least for a few years take this team forward. Let's be very clear though, whichever way you look at it, Virat Kohli has been a remarkable leader of this Indian team, taken it forward. He's been controversial at times. He's perhaps crossed the line at times, but his record is second to none. And I think Indian cricket owes a huge debt to Virat Kohli for the kind of never say die spirit he has infused in this generation of players. So it's perhaps time to say thank you, Virat, above all else. Maybe it's the right time to take the decision. Who knows? This could give Virat, the batsman, a fresh lease of life, and maybe he too will score 100 international hundreds. Wouldn't that be very special? Sunil Gavaskar, Anshuman Gaikwad, Ayaz Memon, and Nikhil Nas, thanks very much for joining me on this very special show. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Stay well. Stay safe.
You are watching India Today.